let's explain how ejaculation is different from orgasm in a man's body.
All right. So I'm sure there's some guys listening who have had an ejaculation without an orgasm. Like you've had an ejaculation without some sort of pleasure, right? I've experienced that. It's like, what the fuck just happened? It's kind of bizarre. There are other people who have experienced orgasm without ejaculation. So what's the difference? In my mind, when a lot of guys think of orgasm, the ejaculation and the orgasm, they're linked immediately. Like they're inseparable in the brain. And if you have an ejaculatory orgasm, you have this peak of a 7-second experience, right? And then there's the release that happens afterwards. And a lot of guys go into sex with this idea of, oh, I need this release. I'm looking for this release. There's the buildup and then there's the release, right? In my experience and my belief, like the release isn't actually part of the orgasm in the same way. Like the release comes from the ejaculation. The release comes from the actual literal release of the neurochemicals and the hormones that happen during ejaculation. The orgasm is the peak of pleasure. The ejaculation catalyzes this physiological response that happens through the ejaculation of the semen, et cetera. And so when a lot of guys think about having an orgasm without ejaculation, they think, ooh, how can I have that same contractile experience with that same level of release afterwards and feel that kind of like, that happens. That is nice. But in my experience, having an orgasm without ejaculation doesn't come with that level of release. Like, because the release has happened in other ways. Maybe it's through exercise. Maybe it's through energetic practice. Maybe it's something to get my body to the state where I don't have this buildup of tension that I need to release so that I can go to those levels of pleasure and experience more waves of orgasm through my whole body that don't just exist for 7 seconds, but they might flow up and crash like ocean waves over and over again throughout my whole system. And it's kind of mystifying and weird to understand if you haven't totally experienced it, but that's like the intro version of what I would say.
Great. And so if you're listening and you're like, but I want that release, why would you be willing to give up that release?
That's a very good question. And that goes into a whole other realm of what I practice and teach, which I call integrative semen retention, which is I have the belief that our ejaculations as men impact our entire life much more than we might think. So you have an ejaculatory orgasm, great, you get that release. How does that affect you for the next day or the next 2 days or the next 3 days? And there is some physiological evidence to show that it does actually affect you for this amount of time. And so for me, I found that I really want to live like the fullest life I possibly can. I want to create a successful business. I want to have a relationship that thrives. I want to like experience the most out of this gift of being on this planet. So in order to do that, I need to optimize my system. Oh, maybe in order to do that, I need to stop ejaculating every day. Maybe I need to stop watching porn and getting off and having these releases that ultimately when I release my ejaculation, I'm telling my brain, oh, you have succeeded at finding a mate and impregnating and perpetuating the species. You can take a break now, Whereas my theory is that if I retain and experience that and let that build up inside of me, then my body goes through this process of like, oh, it's time to perform. Evolutionarily speaking, it's time to go out and find a mate. It's time to go procreate. Then I can transmute that energy, that desire for procreation into fuel that I can use to do whatever I want, like create my business, create a creative project, make a song, sing, perform, do whatever. But that becomes fuel to do something else.
Right. And this is the core of the Taoist sexual teachings, right? That you have this generative life force energy, right? They call it Jing. And it's supposed to be one of the most powerful, creative, energetic forces in the universe, right? Because the way I understand it is like, in every moment, the universe is creating something out of nothing, right? That's the miracle of being alive. Like there could be fucking nothing any moment, right? Yeah. We could all go back into the black hole, right? We could all go back into the Big Bang. Everything could be done. But instead, every moment life is heart beating, right? There's a moment of mystery and then a moment of experience. Mm-hmm. Mystery into experience is a birth process, right? And so right before mystery and experience dance together, it's like they're making love. They're actually making love and then they're creating. So our own, in the microcosmic map, in these tantric teachings and Taoist teachings, that we are a map of the universe. Mm-hmm. Our sexual energy and our actual sexual fluids are part and parcel of that universal impulse of creativity. And so the Taoists are saying like, yeah, you can ejaculate out your life force energy, right? And then you actually feel tired and depleted because you just gave your life force energy theoretically to your body, which doesn't know any difference, to the next generation to create a baby, right? And so what you're saying, and what I found to be true as well, is that you can take that life force energy up and in rather than emitting it. You take it up and in, and it attenuates your entire body and physiology to be in a state of heightened creative tension, heightened creative expression. And as you're saying, you can take that into business, you can take that into relationship, you can take that into fucking. And a lot of guys who practice semen retention report that. I feel more energetic. I feel more alive. And, you know, I always teach, like, nothing should be always. Like, it's not like you can never ejaculate again as long as you live. But what you can do is experiment with this. Try it out and see what happens in your own body and your own physiology.